November 16, 2023, late in the evening. Inside a suburban home, the kitchen light is on, cutting through the deepening darkness outside. The room is eerily silent. The camera pans across the kitchen, revealing a disturbing scene, a pool of blood on the floor, where a woman, Melissa, lies motionless. The area is chaotic, with broken dishes scattered about and a chair knocked over. Ethan, the husband, arrives home, pretending to come in after a long day at work. His eyes widen in horror as he sees Melissa's body on the floor. Shocked and visibly shaken, he stumbles back and pulls out his phone. With a trembling voice, he calls 911 and says, "She's dead." "My wife is dead," his words a mix of disbelief and distress. Ethan is a 35-year-old man with a charismatic presence. He works in real estate, a job that requires charm and confidence, traits he displays even in the face of tragedy. Despite his outward composure, Ethan is clearly shaken by the events. He repeatedly mutters, "I can't believe this happened," his voice laden with a mix of disbelief and grief. As the investigation progresses, Ethan's behavior raises suspicion. His attempts to remain calm and collected are scrutinized closely by detectives, and his connection to the victim makes him a prime suspect. His inconsistent statements and nervous demeanor during questioning only deepen the mystery surrounding his involvement. Melissa, in her early 30s, was a devoted wife and a beloved school teacher. Described by friends and colleagues as kind-hearted and loving, she had built a reputation as a nurturing presence in her community. Her relationship with Ethan had appeared stable to those around them, but beneath the surface, tensions were simmering. Melissa's untimely death shocks everyone who knew her, and as details of her life emerge, it becomes clear that there were underlying issues in her marriage that had gone unnoticed by most. Claire is Melissa's younger sister, living a few towns away. She arrives at the family home the morning after the murder, visibly devastated and struggling to process the shock of her sister's death. Her grief is palpable, but so is an underlying tension. Claire's closeness with Ethan, previously known only to a few, now becomes a focal point of the investigation. While she appears to be genuinely mourning, the nature of her relationship with Ethan and any potential implications of that connection are still unfolding. The scene shifts to a lively family gathering at Melissa and Ethan's home, a spacious dining area filled with warmth and the hum of cheerful conversation. Guests are enjoying a festive meal, laughter fills the air, and the clinking of glasses punctuates the conversation. Amid the apparent cheer, a subtle tension is noticeable between Melissa and Ethan. Their smiles seem strained, and brief, curt exchanges hint at underlying discord. In contrast, Claire, Melissa's younger sister, is noticeably animated and attentive, especially towards Ethan. She engages him in prolonged conversations, laughing at his jokes and maintaining eye contact that lingers a little too long. Although their interactions seem friendly enough, there is an undercurrent of familiarity that doesn't go unnoticed by a few observant guests, but no one remarks on it. As the months pass, the connection between Ethan and Claire deepens beyond friendly conversation. Secret meetings become more frequent dinner dates at secluded spots, and stolen moments when they think no one is watching. Their relationship grows more intense, though they both refuse to end the connections with Melissa. Ethan's behavior changes. He becomes increasingly distant at home, spending long hours away and exhibiting a detachment from family life. Melissa notices his growing absences and his sudden preoccupation with work, but he dismisses her concerns with vague explanations. Melissa's unease grows as Ethan's late nights become a pattern. She begins to suspect that something is amiss and starts tracking his movements more closely. She uses a combination of observation and subtle investigation, checking phone records, looking at receipts, and noting discrepancies in his stories. Despite her mounting evidence, she shares her concerns only with her best friend, expressing her fears and frustrations. Her friend reassures her, but also suggests she might be overthinking things. Melissa tries to convince herself that she's being paranoid, though a gnawing sense of betrayal continues to eat away at her confidence. The case is assigned to Detective Sarah Ramirez, a seasoned investigator known for her sharp instincts. She arrives at the scene, quickly assessing the situation and noticing inconsistencies in Ethan's account of the events. His statements about his whereabouts during the time of the murder are contradictory and unconvincing. Detective Ramirez decides to dig deeper, scrutinizing every detail of Ethan's story. As Detective Ramirez conducts her investigation, she begins to piece together Ethan's life outside his public persona. She obtains and reviews Ethan's phone records and text messages, uncovering a series of exchanges between him and Claire, Melissa's sister. The messages reveal a year-long affair, filled with intimate conversations and planning of secret meetings. This discovery shocks Detective Ramirez and adds a new layer to the case. Claire is brought in for questioning. She arrives at the station, visibly upset and trying to hold back tears. Despite her emotional state, she firmly denies any involvement in Melissa's murder. Detective Ramirez questions her intensely, pressing her on the nature of her relationship with Ethan and any possible motives. Claire maintains her innocence, insisting that she knew nothing about the murder and was only involved with Ethan in a personal capacity. News of the affair leaks to the media, and it quickly becomes the center of a local scandal. The community is abuzz with gossip and speculation, and the once respected Ethan is now under intense scrutiny. Melissa's family is devastated by the revelations. They struggle to cope with the betrayal and the tragic loss of Melissa. The affair not only adds a layer of personal betrayal, but also raises questions about Ethan's motives. As the investigation progresses, Melissa's recent confrontations with Ethan come to light. It's revealed that Melissa had suspected the affair and had recently confronted Ethan about it, threatening to expose the truth and file for divorce. This revelation adds a new dimension to the case: Ethan's potential motive for silencing Melissa before she could ruin his life. Detective Ramirez uses this information to piece together the motive and to examine Ethan's actions leading up to the murder. The tension continues to mount as the community grapples with the shocking twists, and the investigation zeroes in on the affair as a central element of the crime. As the investigation progresses, Detective Sarah Ramirez uncovers a crucial piece of evidence: a divorce filing that Melissa had initiated just 2 days before her death. This revelation shocks everyone involved. Melissa had discovered Ethan's affair with Claire, but that wasn't all. She had also stumbled upon serious financial discrepancies, hidden debts, and undisclosed assets that Ethan had been keeping secret. Melissa's decision to file for divorce was not just a personal blow to Ethan, but a financial catastrophe. The impending divorce threatened to strip Ethan of his marriage, tarnish his reputation, and cost him a significant portion of his assets. In a dramatic twist, it is revealed that Claire had been aware of Melissa's divorce plans. She had been secretly assisting Ethan in his attempts to obscure the financial evidence and cover his tracks. The plan was to leave the country together, escaping the fallout from the divorce and the potential exposure of Ethan's financial misconduct. However, Melissa's murder was not part of their original scheme. Claire insists that she did not anticipate the murder and claims she had no direct involvement in the act itself. Despite her protestations, her role in aiding Ethan's escape and manipulating the situation becomes increasingly evident. Under intense questioning, Ethan's composure starts to unravel. Faced with overwhelming evidence of his financial deceit and the details of the affair, Ethan breaks down. In a moment of raw vulnerability, he admits to killing Melissa. He confesses that when Melissa confronted him about the affair and threatened to expose his financial secrets, he lost control. Consumed by rage and desperation to avoid losing everything, he acted out violently. In a final twist, Claire's betrayal comes to light. She decides to turn on Ethan, revealing key details that lead to his arrest. Claire provides crucial evidence about Ethan's planning and his actions leading up to the murder. Her cooperation with the authorities helps seal Ethan's fate, leading to his arrest and charges of first-degree murder. The community is left in shock as the full extent of the betrayal and deceit is revealed, and justice begins to take its course. In the wake of the investigation, Ethan is formally charged with first-degree murder. The arrest sends shockwaves through the community, which had once seen him as a successful and charming figure. The revelation of his affair and the brutal murder of his wife leaves many grappling with disbelief and anger. Claire, Melissa's sister, is also thrust into the spotlight. Though she initially appeared devastated by her sister's death, it becomes clear that she was complicit in the cover-up. Facing her own legal consequences, Claire pleads guilty to obstruction of justice. In exchange for her cooperation with the authorities, she avoids prison time, but must live with the weight of her actions and the stain on her reputation. The story concludes with a sobering reflection on the destructive impact of secrets, lies, and betrayal. Melissa's family is left to navigate the emotional wreckage left by her untimely death. They struggle to come to terms with the double betrayal of Ethan and Claire, as well as the loss of a beloved family member. Community, once vibrant and united, is now marked by the tragedy, with trust and relationships strained by the revelations. The narrative closes with a poignant message. Sometimes the closest people to us are the ones capable of the deepest betrayal. This final thought underscores the heart-wrenching reality that those we trust the most can sometimes be the ones who inflict the greatest harm.